Hello, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm going to give you guys a few moments to join me here. Happy Thursday, friends. Welcome to Gauge Girl Live here on YouTube. In today's video, we're going to discuss the ketogenic diet, and I'm going to specifically address whether or not I think that the ketogenic diet is sustainable. So I'm going to wait a few moments for the room to populate for you guys to take part in the broadcast. I know sometimes if you're subscribed to the channel, you don't always get the notification. So make sure when you are subscribed, make sure you hit the notification bell. See, here's my lotion. AA, Carrie Long. Hello, friends. Welcome to the broadcast. It's Christine with Gauge Girl Training, an online meal planning and coaching service. I'm a food scientist and chemical engineer by training. In today's video, like I said, we're discussing the ketogenic diet, and the question at hand, Julissa, what's up? The question at hand is the ketogenic diet sustainable? I was going to talk about some motivational things, but I said, you know what? I want to give you guys some actual content. Pardon me while I'm doing some things here. And I really want to talk about whether or not the ketogenic diet is sustainable. So if you are new and you have no idea, hello, Notification Squad. So if you guys are all joining, hello, Angela, Nayesa, what's up? Please give the video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. The ketogenic diet, do I speak Spanish? Yes, I do. I've actually thought about doing some YouTube videos in Spanish. I'm a little bit shy with my Spanish. I can carry conversation in Spanish, but I get a little shy with it. Good morning. So the ketogenic is a high-fat, low-carb protocol. And the premise of the ketogenic diet was initially designed by doctors to support individuals with epilepsy. So it was specifically designed for that reason. And it has garnered a lot of interest in the last decade or so regarding people using it as a weight loss protocol. And the reason it's effective as a weight loss protocol is because your body loses weight in a different way. Hello, Christy. Good morning. And on keto, you lose weight because your body will no longer fuel itself off of carbohydrates. It will be fueled off of ketones. So when your body's depleted of glycogen, your body will create ketones, and your body will be able to utilize fat as a fuel source, number one. And number two, because your body is fat adapted and utilizing fat as a fuel source, it is easier for your body to pull off of stored body fat as an energy source, because a lot of people have stubborn areas of body fat, and because your body is using fat for fuel, it's easier to lose some body fat for some individuals. Now, the question is keto sustainable? And I'm going to address that right now. I've done the ketogenic diet 4 times, and my answer to that question is it depends on your why. It depends on the reason why you decided to start keto to begin with. So, there's 2 classes of people who do keto. There are people who do it because they just want to lose weight and they want to do something different to lose weight. They've done everything else and they're like, let me try this. And there's nothing wrong with trying an approach out of curiosity. There's nothing wrong with trying an approach because you like the food. There's nothing wrong with trying things out. So don't ever feel bad that you're jumping on a bandwagon. You are welcome to experiment and try and explore anything that's going to suit you. So there's that. So if you are in this class of people where you're just doing it to lose weight, you want to try something, is the ketogenic diet sustainable for you? Probably not. Now, if you are doing keto because you are pre-diabetic, you are diabetic, you have PCOS, or you have other health related issues where your body cannot regulate your blood glucose, you have some hormonal issues? The answer is yes, it's sustainable because it has to be. And here's what I mean, you guys. If one of you guys told me on this broadcast, hey, Christine, I have celiac disease and I'm allergic to gluten. Is gluten-free a sustainable way of living? Is that sustainable? And the answer, what would I say to that? Yes, it's sustainable because it has to be for your health. It has to be. Because if you have a health condition that, for instance, if you're celiac and you have to avoid gluten in order to effectively run your body because you're going to have immune issues or immune response, then it has to be sustainable. When I say it has to be sustainable, you got to stick to it. Like, versus like another thing, like I have a nut allergy. I'm allergic to peanuts. Someone could say, oh, Christine, that's not sustainable because there's nuts and so many things. Like, no, it is sustainable because I find a way to make it sustainable because it needs to be sustainable because otherwise I'm going to get sick. So, or potentially die if I consume that. So for some individuals, keto needs to be sustainable. If you are in that pre-diabetic, diabetic, PCOS, you got some hormonal issues, find a way to make it sustainable for you, because the converse of that, of including things that are not going to help, they're not going to help your situation. And just because we live in a global economy that fuels the carb industry, fueling big sugar and all of that, does not mean that you cannot sustainably live it. So there's that. I'm saying for some individuals, it needs to be sustainable, and it is sustainable because you just make intentional good choices. Now, if you are just using this to lose weight, if you're using this out of curiosity, if you are using this because maybe you're an endomorph, or maybe you do struggle to lose weight, but you could probably lose weight if you included carbs, is it sustainable? Again, I'm still going to say no, I don't think it's sustainable. And the reason I don't think it's sustainable is because I think that it's challenging to maintain very low carb intake, and it's not necessary. So, for instance, I think doing keto seasonally or doing keto for short periods of time, when I say seasonally, like a season, like 12 weeks, is a great period of time to utilize it for fat loss, to allow your body to become more fat adapted, to allow your body to boost your sensitivity to insulin, to reevaluate how you eat. Hey, what's up, Ruthie? To reevaluate how you eat. Under those circumstances, once you've effectively utilized keto to improve your A1C levels, which is a marker that you can index in your blood, once you utilize keto to get your eating under control, I think that when you eliminate starchy carbs and sugars and whatnot, eating under 20 grams of 20 grams net carbs per day it's like it gives you much more of a sensitivity to how carbs impact your body. A flexible dieting approach. So the thing is, if you have started keto just for weight loss, or you wanted to improve your insulin sensitivity, let's say you have pre-diabetes but not diabetes, it's a great thing, but I don't think it's sustainable. What I think you should do is utilize keto as an approach to heighten your body's sensitivity to your carb intake. It's really easy. It's extremely easy to overdo it on your carbs. It's extremely easy to get addicted to sugar. It's extremely easy to get addicted to just starches because they're everywhere, they're plentiful, they taste good. And once you dial that way back, it's almost like you can hear your body's hunger signals more clearly. You can truly tell, am I hungry? You can eliminate cravings. And what I think you guys should do once you have effectively given your body a little bit of a break from carbs, have lost a little bit of fat, and I'm talking about 12 weeks or so. Again, I don't recommend using it as a fad. I recommend if you're going to do it, do it. But from there there are two ranges of carb intake that I consider to be low carb but not keto. Range number one is in the under 50 grams of net carbs. So obviously being under 50 grams of net carbs is not going to be keto. Your body will no longer be in a state of ketosis. But I've found that that range has worked well for some who have a need to be on high fat, but their body can't handle being that low in carb. This works great for those with some hormone issues. This works great for those who just feel more mentally stable, who feel just good and clear. Isn't low carb, high fat just as good for weight loss and more sustainable with just as good results? No, it is not just as good for weight and fat loss. The reason is because it's not optimized for fat loss. There's two key fat loss mechanisms. You can utilize the ketosis method, or by driving up your protein way up, being in a positive nitrogen balance, where you have your body to utilize fat for fuel. But general low carb, high fat, in my professional opinion, is not the most optimal way to lose body fat. I would never put somebody on that style approach arbitrarily. So no, it doesn't work that way. However, you can still maintain weight loss. You can see, I think keto is good for really effectively mobilizing the body fat, but then utilizing a low carb, high fat approach to sustain it. And yes, you can still lose a little bit of weight. You can still, but it's not going to be as tailored and targeted as a keto approach or as one of the bodybuilding approaches that I have mentioned before. That is based off of my experience with clients. It's just this middle range that's not optimized. It's just not focused enough. However, there are some individuals who I've worked with who have some unique hormonal issues, whether it's perimenopause, menopause, who actually do a lot better in this range that is under 50 grams of net carbs. The fats are in that 40 to 70% range and under 50 net carb and moderate protein. Now, there's another level which is under 100 grams of carbs and with the fats being anywhere from, I'd say, 25 to 50%. As long as you are in a caloric deficit, you will lose weight. When I say you will lose weight, you will lose weight. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose body fat. So if you're like, okay, Christine, I've done keto, I'm doing all right on it, I'm feeling good, I'm liking the food, I'm liking all of this, but I don't know if I can sustain this, you have a couple options. You can transition to a low carb, high fat protocol, and I have the best, most effective low carb, high fat protocol. It is a 10-week program, and this protocol introduces different ranges of low carb, high fat, and it's broken down into 3 phases. So what I mean by that is phase 1 has moderate carb, higher fat than a bodybuilder style protocol, and moderate protein. Phase 2 has slightly more fat, slightly less carbs, and phase 3 is a full-blown ketogenic approach. And the reason I've put this program together is because the value is in knowing how to transition from phase to phase with the appropriate ratios of fats to carbs. Because once people come off keto, they're like completely lost and don't know what to do with themselves. They're afraid they're going to gain all of the weight back. If you have had success on keto, but you do want to incorporate carbohydrates in the long term, maybe not all the time. I would say get the low carb, high fat protocol. I will link it in this video afterwards, or you guys can look it up. I would definitely tell you that it is not worth it to have invested weeks and weeks and weeks on a protocol to not be able to sustain it. Because if you feel that like the second you eat carbs, you're going to blow up and you don't trust yourself around carbs, does anybody on this broadcast not trust themselves around carbs? And I'm not trying to sound funny or whatever, but meaning you just don't know where to stop. You don't know when enough is enough. You just don't know how many carbs you should be eating for yourself. So welcome to the broadcast for those who are just joining us. Hello, Lupita. It's Christine with Gauge Girl Training, an online meal planning and coaching service. In today's video, I'm answering the question, is keto sustainable? And what I'm talking about is, what do you do if you've used keto to lose some weight, but then you don't trust yourself around carbs afterwards because it's been so long since you had carbs? Maybe you're afraid you're going to binge, but you still want to stay healthy and you still like that feeling of the mental clarity and you like your fats, but you know that you need some carbs just for a level of balance, for a level of mental well-being. Let's say maybe you miss fruit. Let's say, and I'm not saying you can't have fruit on keto, you can, but very, very small amounts. And for those of you who are afraid of carbs and you don't trust yourself around carbs and you don't know how much to eat or what kind of carbs to incorporate. So you don't trust it. Carbs make you feel loved. So if this is you, you will want to follow up with the low carb, high fat protocol. Of all of the Gauge Girl training plans I have ever written, believe it or not, the low carb, high fat protocol is the overall #1 bestseller of all time. It is the most comprehensive program and it is the most sustainable lifestyle approach for long-term health. And I think what a lot of people get stuck in is they get stuck in this idea that they need to be on a diet forever. They think that they need to eliminate carbs forever. They think that they need to count macros forever. What I encourage you to do is, one, if you are on keto and you're thriving on it and you're doing well on it, but you're like, what do I do next? Follow it up with the low carb, high fat protocol. It will be the best investment you have ever made. The value in this program is absolutely remarkable. You're doing good on the low carb, high fat protocol. I think that's awesome. The low carb, high fat protocol is a 10-week program and it has 270 menus. Now each phase has 270 menus, you guys. It has so many recipes. It has so many recipes. It has foods built into it that you probably wouldn't typically eat if you were low carb because you just don't know. So for instance, in phase 1 and phase 2 of this plan, there's Halo Top ice cream. There is really nice like pizza casseroles. There are nice, just really delicious food that is high in healthy fats, a wide range of variety, and not only that, it gives you guidance for how to behave around carbs. So would keto be good for cancer patients? Yes. Yes, I actually have a family member who has cancer, and I have that person on I have this person on a dairy-free ketogenic protocol, and it is working very well for this person. So again, my answer to the question, is keto sustainable? If you are doing keto for medical reasons, the answer is yes. It needs to be sustainable because your body and life depend on it. So yes, it's sustainable. If you're just doing this to lose weight, if you're just doing this because you're keto curious, if you are just doing this because you like the idea of the foods, you have some stubborn body fat that you're struggling to lose, you have a hard time controlling yourself around carbs, I would say it's not sustainable. I would say it's not sustainable in the long term, but it is beneficial to utilize seasonally as needed when you need to boost your body's sensitivity to carbohydrates. So, for those of you who are watching this broadcast live, the question I have for you guys is anybody on this broadcast, number one, are you doing keto? Number two, are you curious? Are you doing keto? Are you curious about keto? And if you're doing keto, do you plan to stay keto? So comment, let me know, let's chat. You're doing keto and IF. Awesome. Is that Tanya? So for you, Tanya, is this something you see yourself doing in the long term, or do you feel that you would benefit from having a game plan for how to strategically transition out? Okay, so you're curious about keto, but you don't like a lot of meat. So the thing is, it's a long-term thing for you. Very cool. You're doing now this low carb, high fat protocol that I have been talking to you guys about. It has an entire keto phase in there. And just to give you an idea of how big this program is, for those of you who have the keto shred, you guys know that the keto shred is 12 menus. The keto portion of this program alone is 4 times the size of the keto shred. So then it's got an overall 270 menus teaching you how to do other low carb, high fat ranges. So this plan has been so effective, you guys. It has been so effective. I've seen this plan change so many people's lives because it taught them how to behave around carbs. It taught them how many carbs are okay, what types of carbs are okay, what types of things I recommend, because if you don't trust yourself around carbs, you're going to want some structured guidance. Okay, keto curious for the reasons I listed, but you will do dairy free. You need a strategy to get into and out of it in a healthy way. So Tanya, you would do fantastic on the 10-week low carb protocol. It gives you strategies to get into keto as well as to transition back out. Sandra says lowered your blood pressure since you began the keto lifestyle. Fantastic, congratulations. You're not curious about keto, but you're currently pregnant and would you like to know what I would recommend for postpartum weight loss? For postpartum weight loss, I recommend a customized protocol. I encourage you to get a custom meal plan and we will dial in how much you are nursing and lactating. But here's the thing. One thing that bothers me is that, oh, excuse me, wrong pipe. Yeah, if you have no idea how many carbs you could have, especially after keto, you want this 10-week low carb, high fat protocol. It is going to be the best investment you will have ever made. I've seen entire families change as a result of this program, having structured meals and meals that people love, meals that fit for a wide variety of things. You plan on staying on keto. Congratulations, that's fantastic. Here's the thing that really bothers me. One thing that bothers me is people think that if you have a need to quit keto because it's unsustainable, that the keto diet is a bad diet because it's not a sustainable lifestyle plan. And I think that that's not a good way to look at it. Keto serves some very important needs. You guys, like, for instance, like the ability to lower your A1C level, the ability to better regulate your hormones, the ability to no longer rely on certain medications because you have changed your diet for a set period of time and then you can sustain a healthier lifestyle afterwards. There is no shame in doing keto and then stopping keto. Like, people think that, oh, it's not sustainable. Like, guys, is working out 7 days a week sustainable for everybody? Like, I know Let's talk about the whole Jillian Michaels thing where she's saying that keto isn't sustainable. Look at the contestants on The Biggest Loser. Is it really sustainable to have people working out like all day, every day? Like, no. But did that help jumpstart their results and get the weight off that they needed to get off so that they could transition into a healthier way of living? Yes. So, it bothers me when people say keto's not sustainable because I think that it sheds it in a negative light because it is an effective way to manage your body's response to carbohydrates. And if you are struggling to have self-control around carbohydrates, if your energy is low, if you are constantly having sugar cravings, if you are just not feeling good, if you're having a hard time concentrating, it's a great way for a period of time to give your body a break from some of those things. How can you counteract that? Follow a meal plan, Tanisha. Follow a meal plan that shows you exactly how much fat to incorporate and when. You lost 10 kilo, you regained 20 kilo in 1 year. So for those of you guys who need the structure, who need to know, the low carb, high fat protocol has amazing meals that work very well for the family, very affordable plans, very affordable groceries, meaning, and it is probably the number one thing I would recommend to you guys. If you have invested all of this time and if you have successfully lost all this weight, why would you jeopardize that progress by just setting yourself loose around all of the carbs? This protocol is on the Gauge Girl Training website. If you do a search and type low carb, high fat, or you can just type in the search box low carb, you will find it. I will also link it here. Is it possible to get 20 grams of fiber daily on keto? In my ketogenic protocols, I aim to get my clients at least 17. Ooh, sorry guys. Oh, my back. Yes, you can, but it is very, very challenging. It's extremely challenging. When I formulate it, one way, if you're focusing on getting higher amounts of fiber on keto, you have to be very strategic. Muscle and Pray says low carb, high fat protocol really made the transition to keto pretty smooth. It helped you to adjust your way of eating. It lowered your A1C at the same time and improved your overall health. I'm so glad to hear that, Jackie. That means a lot coming from you because I know that you have successfully lowered your A1C levels, and I'm so proud of you for all of your accomplishments. Somebody asked about, sorry, there's so many questions here, friends. And if you're joining the broadcast, I'll go a little bit longer today because I really want to answer your questions. Please give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so Brittany Chavon says, I'm an endomorph. I tried to do keto, but it's not for me. What other eating structure should you try? Brittany Chavon, I encourage you to try the low carb, high fat protocol. Again, it's 270 menus. It is something that is extremely effective. Is there a low carb, high fat shred? The answer is there is a low carb, high fat protocol. And the reason I'm calling it the low carb, high fat protocol is because this protocol has varied calorie levels. There is a protocol inside of there to support shredding. There's a protocol inside of there to support moderate weight loss. And there's a protocol inside of there to support maintenance. So it has all of them in one. And just to remind you guys, the shred has 12 menus. This has 270 menus. It is literally like 20 times, 20? Yeah, 20 times the size of the shred. 20 times the size of the shred. So just to give you an idea of how much bigger it is than the shred, it is an amazing resource. And I would be happy to continue to talk about low carb, high fat because personally, you guys, what I've been transitioning into personally that works really nicely is a range of fat that is like below 75 grams of fat, but carbs under 100. And obviously my protein is going to be related to my body weight. But there's just something about that range that works really well for me because I feel really full and satisfied. I can enjoy avocado. I can enjoy cooking with a little bit more olive oil. I can enjoy like my chicken thighs. And granted, you can have chicken thighs and stuff on the shreds because we built them in there. But I generally like fattier meats. Is it true that women need more carbs compared to men? No, that is not true. Men are bigger. They need more carbs than us. Women need more fat than men. Can you lower protein on maintenance? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you will find that in the low carb, high fat protocol. You will definitely find that in the low carb, high fat protocol. Again, you can follow this over the course of 10 weeks, but it's so many plans in one. It's a lifestyle plan. Can I talk about the keto flu? Yes, agreed. Women need way more fat than men. Way more fat. Yeah. Tips on doing keto in a family. Yes. If you're doing keto in a family, what you'd want to do is use some of the keto recipes like the ones in the low carb, high fat protocol or in the keto shred, but you'll find so many more recipes in the low carb, high fat protocol. And, make one of these casseroles as the dinner. But the thing is, you have your portions, just make some sides of carbs for your family. Will you get the keto flu on low carb, high fat protocol? No, you will not. You will only get the keto flu if you're actually doing keto, if that makes sense. And all the keto flu is an electrolyte imbalance. What this means is that your body is getting rid of sodium at a faster rate because when you lower your carb intake, your insulin levels drop. When your insulin levels drop, your insulin is a hormone that has a lot of functions, but one of those functions is to rate your kidneys to tell them to keep and hold on to a certain amount of sodium in the body to maintain a certain sodium-potassium balance for the cells. When that's gone, when insulin levels are low, your kidneys are going to excrete much higher levels of sodium, and as a result of that, your electrolytes are going to be out of whack. Your electrolytes are going to be out of whack, and because of that, the keto flu is an electrolyte imbalance. You'll get a headache. You can mitigate it by having more sodium, potassium, and magnesium. But it goes away. It goes away. You just got to have more electrolytes. Oh, you meant that you're 17, you're trying to get healthy, but your family isn't. How do you do keto? I'd say prepare your own meals. Prepare your own food. If you're not cooking for everybody else, I'd say just do your own thing, if that makes sense. Sonia says, what about a low-fat protocol? Can you increase carb and fat and lower protein for maintenance? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. For instance, can we continue doing our Gauge Girl body type training? Yes, you can. You've hit a stall and you're 49 years old. Alyssa Love, I would recommend if you've hit a stall and you are in a caloric deficit, if you've hit a stall and you've hit a caloric deficit and you are in a caloric deficit, I would recommend that you reduce your fat, increase your protein. If that doesn't work, shift into phase 2 by transitioning out of keto and going at a different macronutrient range. People do really well in that range. Like, I've seen so many women thrive on this program. They've just felt the best. They felt the most balanced, and they really get to enjoy the fats with a touch of carbs, and not too many carbs that it's going to set you off, but just enough. Thank you. No. So the thing is, low carb, high fat means lowered carbs and high fat. Keto is a very specific subset of that. Keto is very low carb, meaning less than 5%, and very high fat, like greater than 70%. So low carb, high fat can mean fats anywhere from 40 to 75%, and carbs anywhere from 5 to 25%. So there's a range. Does that make sense? Christine, I'm thin, but I have big boobies. How can I work on my boobies to shrink them? I'm small everywhere else. You tried everything. If you have naturally big breasts, I think that that's probably genetic. If you are at a low body fat percentage, if you have naturally large breasts, it's probably genetic no matter what you do. If they are so big that you just can't handle it anymore, I would definitely say maybe you can try a surgical option. But if you're continuing to focus on fat loss and body fat, you're probably, most women would say you've won the genetic lottery where you can be tiny everywhere else except for your breasts. Is keto sustainable for somebody who works out 5 times a week? Weight training, hit cardio, list cardio. Sometimes you hit your maximum heart rate. Will that stop muscle growth? Keto is sustainable if you increase your calories accordingly. Will the low carb, high fat protocol go on sale? It's $199. If anything, the value of the low carb, high fat protocol is above and beyond $199. Like I said, you guys, it's 20 times the size of the shred. 20 times the size of the shred. I could eat, it's worth $1,000, and I'm not saying that because I wrote it. I'm saying that because of the value of the content and the volume of the content. It is going to be like the last resource you will ever need to purchase because it is that comprehensive. Is 100 to 150 grams of carbs considered low carb? No. I'd consider that moderate carb. I would not consider that low carb. Will keto help a binge eating disorder? You have sugar addiction. I think it will help regulate cravings, but binge eating has some psychological issues. So psychological things that you may want to address. Will it help you better control your sugar cravings? Absolutely. Will it help you control your hunger? And will it boost your satisfaction? Yes and yes. But I can't really comment on whether or not it's going to stop your binge eating because that's a completely different regime and realm that I do not really dabble in. And yes, Muscle and Pray says it's definitely worth more than $199. Yeah, like I said, you guys, for Javon McKenzie and anybody else who's considering this protocol, it's 270 menus. It is 20 times the size of the shred. Is the low carb high fat protocol appropriate with someone BMI over 35 and more than 30 pounds to lose? Yes, it is perfect for you. And I think that there's a lot of women who get lost because, you know, they have intermittent fasting will definitely help, agreed. Because they have hormonal issues, and if you are perimenopause, approaching menopause, anything related to PCOS, you guys, you gotta be careful if you just go straight into a caloric deficit. And the reason is, if you just jump into cutting your calories, you're most likely going to end up cutting out a lot of nutrients that your body needs. And if you're cutting out some nutrients, if you're cutting out important nutrients, your hormones will not be stable and regulated. So this protocol allows for higher calorie levels to support stabilizing your hormones, especially for my women who are dealing with perimenopause. And perimenopause can start as early as 35 years old. It's a very serious thing. Can you bulk on a low carb and high fat? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So if you guys have enjoyed this broadcast, please give the video a thumbs up. That really helps me here on YouTube. Yes, perimenopause is no joke, Samantha says, and it's so true. I feel like the low fat protocol is the most sustainable if you don't need high fat, low carb for health reasons. And I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Um, the thing is, you need to know your body and you need to know what you need. So Nick W says, if I am doing the low carb, high fat protocol after keto, should I start at the end with the lowest amount of carbs and work my way up to the, yes, yes, yes. You are reading that 100% correctly, Nick W. I would 100% approach it that way. So you can, dabble in the keto portion of the low carb, high fat protocol and then transition to the phase, which is called phase 2, which has slightly more carbs, slightly less fat, and then take it from there. Felicia, yes, you can. Absolutely, I'd be more than happy to work with you. Paulina Hernandez says, I'm in your mid-20s, working all day and no energy to work out. If you have no energy to work out, maybe it's because you're drained and exhausted. Maybe it is because you are burning a lot of calories already during your day. Perhaps maybe try working out before work to get it done right away before you're drained and tired. That's definitely one approach. But guys, what I'm going to do is I am going to, when I sign off of this broadcast, I am going to link the low carb, high fat protocol in the description box as well as the comments. Is 94 grams of carbs low carb and high fat diet? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So, guys, it was a pleasure chatting with you today. Again, please give the video a thumbs up. Thanks for joining. And I will see you tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. It's a pleasure, and